What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I need to right a wrong. You see, the other day I showed you a winning deck from Agumon Bond of Friendship. I did not show you a winning deck, however, for Agumon Bond of Courage, so you know what? I figured I should go and find a winning deck list and share it with you all. And that is exactly what we are going to be doing today. Now, I do need to give a lovely shout out to the very snappily handled S601450160_0Z for sharing this on Twitter, and to the lovely folks at Ensan Gaming for, well, making me aware of it. Makes my job significantly easier, and that makes me rather happy indeed. So if we start off with the Digitama here, we have a 4-1 split, as we generally would expect. The 4 is the Koromon from BT5. When you're attacking once per turn, if this Digimon's name contains Greymon or Omnimon, you draw a card. As a side note, there's no Omnimon here. However, we do have a bunch of Greymon, so that will do nicely. I'm using the promo image of, well, the promo that's going to be a tournament promo, purely because that's the only official English scan we've got. Shout out to digimoncard.dev for any translated scans we use in the video. But we are allowed to do a 4-1 split, so we also have a copy of Demi-Meramon here. When you're attacking a player, you gain 1,000 power for the turn. Make it just that little bit less likely that you will be deleted by security Digimon. And as we start off having a look at our level 3s, when I say this is an Agumon heavy deck, I mean this is a really Agumon heavy deck. So we do have a playset of the Agumon that came around in BT1. When you play it, reveal 5 cards on the top of your deck, and you add a Tamer card from among them to your hand. So it's a nice way to search out your Tamer cards. It's nice and cheap like we would expect these Digimon to be, so that works out quite nicely indeed. We also have a playset of the Agumon that came around a bit more recently, so to speak. Came around in the starter deck, the Galantmon starter deck. When you are attacking a player, you gain 2,000 power for the turn. So it basically makes it very unlikely, not impossible, but it makes it extremely unlikely that you would attack into the stack and be deleted because you've got so much more power there. That sounds like a pretty gosh darned good thing. We also have a playset of the Agumon that came around as a promo. These were the box topper promos for 1.0 and 1.5, and it's got an inheritable skill whereby if this Digimon's name contains Greymon, you gain an extra 2,000 power. And now the bad news is we are actually building up to Agumon Bond of Courage, which of course does not have Greymon in its name. But we do have a bunch of Greymon in this deck that we can essentially use to take advantage of this. Not enough Agumon? How about a couple of the Agumon that came around in BT6? When you play a Tamer with Tai Kamiya in its name, you gain a memory. And it's got an inheritable skill whereby while this Digimon is Agumon Bond of Courage, you gain security attack +1. Well, you are going to end up being Agumon Bond of Courage, and extra security attack is kind of cool, if I'm honest with you. So this sounds pretty gosh darn fun to me. Plus it saves you memory when you search a Tamer, and we are absolutely going to need some Tamers. More on that in a moment. And if you were bored of regular Agumon, might I remind you about our good old friend, Professor Agumon, or Agumon Expert, which is a way worse name over here. When you play, you may return a Digimon with Agumon in its name from your trash to your hand, although it was actually printed with the word recycle bin on, even though we don't actually use that word. So nice little anomaly in the game for you there. But this will get back all the Agumon I've already mentioned. It will also get back your Agumon Bond of Courage. This is a very, very good thing indeed. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that these 16 Agumon are probably enough, and we don't need any more. Do feel free to be upset and argue with me on that one, but I feel pretty good about this. Now, moving up into our level 4s, we've got ourselves a lovely little Greymon, or I should say a playset of lovely little Greymon, and again, it is that promo Greymon. If this Digimon's Digivolution sources contain Agumon, you gain security attack +1. Well, if you've Digivolved it, you must have Digivolved it from an Agumon, given that we are only playing Agumon level 3s, and it does say contains Agumon, so Agumon Expert will work here. This is clearly a very, very useful thing indeed. This one will work very, very nicely. Now, we also have a playset of Geo Greymon here, which comes in, now it is a security card that lets you play it without paying, which is nice, but also when you play it, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 power or less. So, once again, this seems like a pretty nice thing here, getting rid of one of your opponent's Digimon, being a security Digimon. These are good things that are going to give us an advantage. Speaking of which, there is just one single copy of the Greymon from BT3 that is a security Digimon. And there's nothing more to it, incidentally, it is just a security Digimon. If it comes out in your security, you play it for free. That's it. But you do get to play it for free, and we're already playing a playset of the good security Digimon. So you know what? That'll have to do for now. Now, we do also have 3 copies here of Agumon, and this is a Digimon that is going to help a bunch of red decks out. It lets you Digivolve from a red tamer as if it was a level 3 red Digimon. Simple as that. That's what it does. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to be playing a bunch of tamers. We'll get to the tamers in a moment. So clearly, this is a very, very good thing indeed. And just like we saw in the Agumon deck, we then skip. We skip over level 5s. We don't need no level 5s. We've got some big level 6s like Magnatramon. When you play, if your security is 3 or less, recover 2. You don't want to Digivolve up into Magnatramon, that's not the point. You want to play it normally because it's got a play skill, not a Digivolution skill, and the play skill lets you recover 2 security. And essentially this is a bit of a safety valve here. You have it there ready to go, and if you end up too low on security before you have done your thing, this comes in and helps you out and saves you pretty gosh darn nicely. And then that's it. There aren't any more level 6s, ladies and gentlemen. Couple Magnatramon, and that'll do. But then we get up into Agumon Bond of Courage, and we've already seen there are ways to find this. The thing is, we haven't seen yet a way to play it, which seems awkward. I've told you there's no level 5s. I've told you the only level 6 we've got is Magnatramon. There needs to be something else going on here, and there is, because we've got the Tamer. Taikamiya is the secret. Now, on your turn, when you move a Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name from your breeding area to your battle area, you gain a memory and draw a card. Well, that's going to happen a lot, because that's pretty much all you're playing. So this is going to give you a pretty big advantage. But it's also got a skill, the one we're really worried about here. Once per turn, you may Digivolve one of your Agumon, and we have a bunch of Agumon, into an Agumon Bond of Courage by paying its Digivolution costs, but ignoring any level requirements. So you can just Digivolve, pay in free memory, and it is literally just free memory, which is ridiculous, and you get your level 7 out right there and then, which is preposterous. Now, you do have to trash the top 2 cards of your security, and then if you've got 1 or more security, you delete the Digimon at the end of your turn. But it's so good, it hopefully won't be an issue. Do remember that we have got the Agumon, that when you play a Tamer, you gain a memory, and do remember that Magnatramon will recover 2 security. So essentially here, we're in a nice position because we can undo a lot of the damage that has gone and been done, and this is clearly a very good thing indeed. But there is actually another Red Tamer coming in here as well. I mean, Taikamiya you've got to play because of all the other cards, but we've also got Marcus Damon. Now, it's one of those whereby if you've got 2 or less memory, it becomes free at the start of your turn. But on your turn, when your Digimon with Greymon in its name attacks, you may suspend this tamer to gain a memory. So, we're playing 3 of these, we're playing a bunch of Greymon, and when you attack with Greymon, you're actually going to be able to gain some memory, and that's clearly a very good thing. Bearing in mind, we've got, for instance, like the promo Agumon that will give you an extra 2,000 power, meaning it's more likely you will survive. This is very, very cool. And I should remind you at this stage, don't forget we have got the Agumon here, which will be able to evolve up. And one of the main reasons here, of course, is just a nice surprise hit. The theory being your opponent goes, oh, they can only attack 3 times, they need to attack 4 times to win the game. But then your tamer becomes a Agumon for a surprise one last thing, and then you end up winning the game there and then. So to go back then to Agumon Bond of Courage, which is the focus of the deck, when you attack, if you've got a tamer, and we've seen the amount of tamers here we've got, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 power or less. That's basically anything other than a level 7. When you attack, you just delete any Digimon that isn't a level 7. And to be fair, some weaker level 7s, that's ridiculous. And once per turn, when your opponent's Digimon are deleted, you trash a card from the top of your opponent's security stack. So okay, fine, you got to lose 2 security to get Agumon out, and that's a bit sad, boo hiss, etc. But you should be deleting one of their big Digimon and getting rid of one of their stack before you've even attacked. And then, of course, you've got the Agumon from BT6 that will give you security attack +1. So in theory, you give up 2 security, but you take out 3 right away. And this just works. And again, if you can, pull this off maybe twice in one turn, that's going to be a game ender. You take out 3 security at once, maybe more, and then you just get one of your tamers into an Agumon to win the game, or use any of your other Digimon that are out there. This seems pretty gosh darn good to me, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty gosh darn good indeed. But we also do have a bunch of option cards here as well. Now, there's a playset of Gaia Force. This shouldn't really surprise too many people too much. It just deletes any Digimon on the field. Now, it's an 8 cost, so it's very expensive. You want it to come out as a security card, where it does the same thing. And it is worth pointing out that between your 7 tamers, your 5 security Digimon, and then all of these options, there are going to be many times your opponent attacks your stack and you get an advantage from it. That is a very cool little bonus about this particular deck. So yeah, Gaia Force kind of needs to be played here. It's not the only one we see played here. We also actually have a full playset of Atomic Blaster. Now, it deletes any number of your opponent's Digimon whose total power is 8,000 or less, which is clearly kind of fun. But also, you can mix it up. So it's either 2 4,000 or a 3 and a 5 or an 8, or there are many different options. And then obviously if it comes out as a security card, that is going to give you a rather nice advantage as well, because it lets you do that without having to actually spend any memory. Not enough? Well, we've also got just a couple copies there of Red Rima, a 4-cost card that lets you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 power or less. Or if your opponent has 3 or more Digimon in play, you delete one of their Digimon with 13,000 power or less. And once again, if this comes out as a security card, it will just do that. So all of our option cards here are just for deleting Digimon, and they all work as security cards. So basically, we got lots of extra deletion rolling in here. We're cheating our way up into a big level 7 with all the extra tricks it has. I like this deck. This one seems kind of fun. The early tournament results do not seem to point out to be as good as Gabumon. Gabumon really does seem to be the better of them, but make no mistake about it, this seems like a very, very fun deck indeed. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.